What up? What up?
Hello. Hello, party people. It's good to see you. I
Going on?
know we have less people than usual today. We have some people sick. We have some people that had extenuating circumstances. So you're going to be stuck with me and Justice tonight. Yay! But it will not be all bad because we are having Councilman Braxton Winston on the show tonight to continue our Young Black and Gifted series for Black History Month. So we're going to start off with Justice because he's going to do our current events today. And it's going to be What's Up with Justice instead of What's Up with Sean. What's up with that? What's up with that? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
well. Here we are.
Oopsie. Wrong one.
Oh, wait a minute. Technical
I
difficulty.
know, right? The
Uh,
what the?
what the freak?
Why, Justice?
I don't know. What's going on? Oh, wait a minute. How we doing? Are we still here? I don't know what's going on. Um, so sorry, we got a little technical difficulty. Um, but all right. So what's up with me? Today we'll be talking about um, the City Girls and JT and uh, Young Miami, I guess. They secured a deal with Issa Rae. I guess they're executive producing a show. Are we back? Are we back? Are we back?
We're back, but I don't know why. I don't know why. Okay, go ahead. So the City Girls, which is a hood ass female rap group,
Right.
ain't them the ones where somebody was in jail?
Yes, JT was in jail, but she's out.
Okay,
She's flourishing. She's flourishing. Um, and
flourishing.
she is.
Okay.
So now they've secured a deal with Issa Rae, and if you guys don't know who Issa Rae is, she is the executive producer of Insecure, a very popular show on HBO. She's been in a couple movies. Pretty dope. So they are partnering with her, and they're going to be co-executive producers of a new comedy show called Rap Shit. So I thought that was
Oh,
pretty.
who?
It's called Rap Shit.
Oh,
Yeah, Rap Shit. So I don't know what it's gonna be about. Totally, but I'm happy for them. You know what I'm saying that's like true definition of like started from the bottom and then like worked their way up. Now, regardless of how they came up and what they were doing, they came up, and now I feel like Issa took them and their career to a whole other level. So I'm happy for them.
I just, I don't,
What you
I
got?
don't understand. What is their deal?
I think they're just creating a lane for themselves. Like they've inspired this whole women's empowerment in a different way. It's like, women want to be taken care of. It's this creating this narrative of like women want to be. Hey,
So is that really empowerment if you want somebody to take care of you?
I don't think it's like a take care of thing. It's like
Yeah, no, the song says, give me all your money, get that head, that bread, then leave.
hey, I mean that's some people's motive, and you know I feel like there's music out there for everybody. So they appeal to a certain group of people. They're both beautiful. Um, like I said, they did what they had to do to get where they are.
I
And
mean, I'll take that.
yeah, and I feel like I said, now I feel like Issa Rae is gonna take them into a whole nother direction. That might do a whole lot for their music. It might send their music in a new direction. There's just so many possibilities that come out from that. But who knows?
Do you think it's going to bring them to a level where they're not looked at as just some one hit wonder hookers who turned rappers?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I don't even consider them one hit wonders now. I feel like they created a thing where it's like they did. I mean, I'll take this is totally unrelated, totally two different lanes. But Janet Jackson, for example. Janet Jackson is not the most talented singer, but incredible dancer. So what she did was fuse her vocals with her dancing, and she created that whole, now you got to dance and sing. I mean, her brother was already doing it, but like for females, she kind of, pioneered this, I'm gonna be nasty, but I'm gonna be cute, and I'm gonna dance. She wasn't, very provocative with like what she wore, but she was provocative with
Yes,
what
she was.
compared to now. I don't think that.
These hoes don't wear no clothes. What do you mean? There is no comparison.
I think it's two different eras. No, but I'm saying how she created that lane and ran with it. You know what I'm saying? Because Janet Jackson has fans. She's well respected in the music industry, not just because she's a Jackson, but she created a lane for herself. She wasn't.
Yeah, she's got her own following by herself.
Right, and I feel like they did the same thing. It's like they was rapping about what they were rapping about. Somebody liked it, and now you got girls out here like, oh, before I sleep with you, gonna give me some money. You know what I'm saying? It empowered girls who felt like, this is just my thought process. It empowered girls who felt like, you know what I'm saying, oh, I have to sleep with you in order for you to like me. Now I'm taking the power back. You want to sleep with me because pussy is power, and we know this. So now you got to spend some money before you get this. That's the thing, because they started that.
They didn't start it. They just rolled into it when everybody else was doing it. Yeah. Bitches been gold diggers for years. That's not a new thing.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
we just had the decency not to make songs about it.
Yeah, and now they're like, okay, fuck it. Now we're gonna make music about how you about to spend this money, and I may or may not give you no pussy. But either way, that's that.
Okay.
You
what else you got for me?
What else I got?
Well, okay, so everybody knows this past week was Super Bowl weekend, and unfortunately, that fuck boy Tom Brady won again. I don't like it. I feel like there's something up with that because he has only lost a Super Bowl one time.
Three times.
Oh, 3 times? I'm sorry. The 7 Super Bowl rings fucked me up.
I mean, I think he proved a point to a lot of people. Because I'm a huge football fan, and so I think a lot of people were saying he's a system quarterback. He'll only be successful in Bill Belichick's, offense. So he left, and he proved to the people it wasn't,
Well, did he? Because he took half of his offensive line with him. So is that really proving anything? How are you transferring to a new team and you brought 6 more people? Okay.
NFL,
I'm just saying.
NFL is a bit. That's my comeback for that. The NFL.
I mean, I stopped watching NFL after Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, I don't watch it too much. I mean, I watch Panthers games just because, Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday. Yeah, but I barely watch the playoffs. But you know what I'm saying. I watched the Super Bowl honestly because Jasmine Sullivan was performing the national anthem. When I saw that she was performing the national anthem, I was like, I at least want to see this because I know that if I don't enjoy anything else, I'm going to enjoy.
You're going to enjoy the crazy lady thing.
And I did. She ain't crazy. She is not crazy. I would defend Jasmine Sullivan on this here live stream. And
the lady who tells people don't fuck up cars and shit.
She is busting out windows because boys and men got her. See, I caught myself. See, but, they be playing. They be playing with your feelings, and you can't do that. Can't do that. There's consequences when emotions get involved. Now, the extent of those consequences, that's on the person. And if it leads to busting windows, then you're gonna bust some windows.
I don't think anybody should ever encourage somebody to be destructive and emotional with an ex, especially because that's a dangerous combination. Like
It is.
that's how people's shit gets set on fire.
It
Bullet
is.
holes in your door. Like, I mean,
Well, that's why she wrote a song about it. I don't think she actually did it. But you want to write a song about it. You express yourself. It's like, I can't do this because I like my life. I don't want to go to jail. But I'm gonna write a song about it. And then when I'm in the music
here we
video,
go.
I can actually bust the windows,
It's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much. Jay said she was all over the place for me. People say she looked like a gypsy.
Look, oh man. I told you I'm gonna defend Jasmine Sullivan. So she looked good. She was channeling her
They
inner
said
Whitney.
gypsy. Gypsy is mysterious.
She was channeling her inner Whitney. So she had like I don't know. Oh, hold on. So what's that video? I Will Always Love You. And Whitney had on the thing. So she wore that with an all
a hat and a scarf.
Yeah, she had that, and then she had on like the all white suit. She was channeling her inner Whitney, and I think she delivered. I would have rather seen her do it by herself, but for what it was.
She didn't sing by herself?
No, she sung with some country guy. Although he didn't do too bad. People been giving him a hard time.
Oh,
our people can give him a hard time because
girl.
But either way, like I said, for what it was, I think she delivered. It ain't Whitney, but it's as close as we gonna get in this day and age.
So I just looked at that picture. It feels like she's trying to be like a 20s, like a Josephine Baker type feel with that little head wrap on. Mm-hmm. I don't get Whitney at all.
No, but look at that.
Yeah, I get like the 20s jazz singer with like all the little sparkly shebangs.
Okay, I'll take that because I mean she's got some roots in jazz. And
the suit is cute. That white suit is real cute.
Real cute. See, that's why you my girl, Tree.
It is. It's real cute.
That's why you my girl. See, we love Jasmine over here. So
no, we don't love her.
No, I love her.
We just, I can appreciate someone with a actual real voice because a lot of singers today don't have that. They just have studio voices, and it's very upsetting to watch.
They wanted to bring.
Oh, with the country dude, they wanted some diversity.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I know. I really think that's what it was. It was like you got to think about the audience of the NFL. If she would have did that by herself, the audience of the NFL would have been like, "This is too much. She's doing too much. Just sing the national anthem." But we.
Well.
You said what?
I mean, people do like her. I'm seeing a lot of people, Zane said he loves Jasmine.
See, we love Jasmine. See?
See? Oh, no. What did she do with Tina's song? She did not do What's Love Got to Do with It.
Who did? I mean, if she did it, I'm sure she did it justice. The girl can sing now. And I don't mean S-I-N-G, I mean S-A-N-G. She can sing. It's a difference. That girl can sing, Trees. I'm sorry.
Tina Turner is one of those people that you just don't play with their stuff, right? We have some singers that they don't like that. I mean, there are songs that are iconic, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That nobody really should be fucking with it. But that's like saying somebody's gonna redo one of Patti LaBelle's songs.
See, that's different. That's different. But I also feel like if you're a singer, can do that. By all means, go for it. By all means, But don't, I feel like she's one of those that know they limits. Like if she could do it, she would.
Well, I mean, Johnny is working, Greg. I think that, like, who is it? that has a good voice that has remade a song they didn't have no Rihanna in that Santana song.
Oh
So
well,
angry with her about
yes. That's
it. So angry.
yeah. I mean, I don't even want to get into because. Hey Trees, how you
Well, I mean,
doing?
huh?
I said, hey, how you doing?
I'm putting my hair up so I can get into this good conversation.
I don't dig what DJ Khaled did with it. I feel like I know what he did it because you know what I'm saying. 10 years from now, the next generation ain't gonna know what Carlos Santana is or what Maria was. You got to give some people a reason to say, "Oh, where did the song come from?"
I mean, we listen to many songs today that have tracks from old school songs, and people still don't know where they came from. They think that's actually the original song.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's very true. And I feel like it's going to be a lot of people who are going to oh, this Wild Thought song. Where did this other song come from?
Foolishness.
Yeah, complete foolishness.
Well, I mean, like to me, Jasmine is a singer, and she's up there with like Jill Scott. She's not really on Sade's level, but I appreciate her singing. What?
You put me in a hard position, Trees. I love Sade. I love Sade every Sunday. But
you cannot tell me that Jasmine Sullivan sings better than Sade. You stop that right now.
Two different voices.
We're going to move on to our main topic tonight. Because Justice and I are not going to see eye to eye on this one.
Nope, because I love Jasmine.
We would like to welcome, well, like I said, we are doing a Young, Black, and Gifted series this month because it is Black History Month. And we wanted to do something a little different. We always talk about, our civil rights heroes, Black people that are famous for different things that they've done in history, but haven't been giving that credit. With this series, we wanted to highlight local Black people, young Black people that are actually making change in their city right now. So, to start that off, I would like to welcome Councilman Braxton Winston to the show. Hold on.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Councilman. How are you?
I'm good. How y'all doing today?
Good. Welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I'm really excited to talk to you today, actually, just because I think that the Charlotte politics is weird. But thank you so much for being here.
Politics is weird, I think, period. Yeah.
This is true. There is no straight line on that.
No.
It's a lot of meandering, I think.
It's a lot of
Go ahead.
Well, I think I think that right there is the key. This idea of politics versus leadership in government.
Right.
I think those are two different things.
Okay, I can agree with you on that because I feel like a lot of the politicians are no longer doing a leadership issue. It's more about the money and what can I get for this. It's very weird. But before we get that far, could you tell us about yourself, Councilman Winston?
Sure. My name is Braxton Winston. I think is there an echo? Y'all hearing the echo as well? I think you got some. One of y'all just one of y'all. I think mute and it might shut that off. But now my name is Braxton Winston. 38-year-old father of 3, single father. I was born in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. My father's a Marine, retired Marine. But I was raised in Brooklyn, New York. That's where both my parents are from. My mother is a retired New York City school teacher. My father is still riding a fire truck. He's a fireman up in New York City. He's a captain in the FDNY. Went to public school in New York through middle school. And I was in a program called Prep for Prep that took basically high academically achieving Black and Latino students and exposed them to private school opportunities. So I went to this New England boarding school up in Massachusetts, and I was walking across campus one day as my sophomore year, and it was negative 37-degree wind chill. And I was like, yo, this is supposed to be the ticket to the rest of the world. Why don't I just see the rest of my country? So I was like, I'm not going to college anywhere up here. I'm either going out west or going down south. And I decided I'd like to be able to drive up to New York when I wanted to. So I decided on the south. And I played football at the time, and I got recruited at Davidson College. And I ended up coming down here. And my first week of class was 9/11. As I told you earlier, my father's a New York City firefighter. So it was a tough time for me. And I was burnt out and all type of stuff. And I went through, a phase where I took the extended version. I went back home for a while, came back down south, back to Davidson because I didn't want to let it beat me. And I ended up, like I said, I started class of 01, ended up graduating the class of 2007. And while I was finishing up at Davidson, spent some time at UNC Charlotte. I started working full time in the entertainment business down in Charlotte as a stagehand and camera operator. That's how I got started. I went out to LA for a couple years working in the business. Ended up coming back to Charlotte in 2011, and been back since. And I was grinding as a stagehand from 2011 up into 2016 when I was coming home from work, and Keith Lamar Scott was killed by CMPD.
The picture that is very popular. Hello, Johnny.
Hello, hey, how are you guys?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
The picture that has become kind of like the iconic picture from the Charlotte protest is the picture of you with your fist up. What made you want to is it that moment that made you feel like you wanted to get into politics?
No, not at all. Not at all. That moment I had never done anything like that, never been part of anything like September 20th, 2016. But after that night, I found myself at the forefront, of these demonstrations. And after those kind of what I call the kinetic demonstrations ended, I had to do some soul searching. I was arrested. I felt like it was a target. I was obviously, my community had pushed me forward as a leader, so I had some decisions to make. I was here for the change. I was really focused on like not just hypothetically, but how these inequities manifested into something that could destroy us. Something that could really destroy us. So I decided that I didn't. That week was traumatic. And it was traumatic to me. It was traumatic to my family. It was really earth shifting for me and my life, and I had to decide what that meant. And how do I be part of the change? Was it just gonna be a picture of the fist, or was it gonna actually be work? So I started, after I got arrested about a week into it, I had to take some time away and went back home to New York for 2 weeks to study, to understand what the heck am I talking about? What is it that I want? I know that things need to change, but what is it that needed to be changed? I look at things. I knew that there were 3 things that I did during that time. One, I was a citizen journalist. So I basically, while I was out there, I was using my camera to, at many times, not even talking, was just objectively showing people things that were happening that weren't again seen through other media. And that's what I think journalism is supposed to do. It's supposed to present facts so people can determine their own truth. And I saw that when I was able to show things that were happening, all of those places, those folks from Andover, those folks from New York, those folks from LA, those folks from Davidson, those union folks that I work with, black folks, white folks, they were able to see things that challenge their truth. So I really made an effort of showing up to actions, to meetings, to events, and using that video to disseminate facts, to show people that wasn't happening, through other media outlets. Of course, while I was also using, break in whenever y'all want. But the second leg of it was when I was using that social media, when I was having thousands of views, obviously I was giving my own commentary, my own subjective view of things that were going on. And people found solidarity in my voice and in the things that I was saying. So as I was building that base, people started asking me and giving me the privilege and responsibility of amplifying their voice through my platform. And that's what I think an activist is, right? That's what I think activism is. You use your platform. I think somebody just needs to mute because that goes crazy.
It's me.
Sorry. Yeah, that's good. But through activism, you amplify other people's voices. That's a privilege and responsibility. So I was doing that as well. I was all types of things, But I graduated with a degree in anthropology from Davidson. I always look at things from a historical or cultural kind of lens, and I know that in this country, to change the culture of things, we are a culture of laws and policies. So we can organize person to person, organization to organization, neighborhood to neighborhood, and if you don't change the laws and policies, then you're never really going to change the culture. You might change the relationship between a neighborhood or a group of people, but you ain't going to change everything. And I think what we all experienced during that week in 2016 was a failure of government or elected and appointed leaders. And so I was trying to, but then I saw so many other leaders out there, that were marching with us, that were speaking, that were doing all types of things. I'm like, we have leaders here. Somebody needs to be pushing these folks forward, and they need to be in the decision-making space. And so I started showing up to city council meetings, county commission meetings, school board meetings. Actually, I realized when I was out there calling for the mayor's head and the chief of police, that I really actually didn't know how to hold them accountable. I'm from New York. The buck stops with the mayor. I had never heard of a city manager. I couldn't tell you at that time, I was not able to tell you what city council did or how the things work. So I realized that one, if we don't have the people there, if we don't have the institutional knowledge, so I kept showing up. I kept trying to using the citizen journalism, using the activism to teach people and teach myself about how to do it. And my life really wasn't set up at that time, to run for office. And honestly, it's still not. But as soon as I kept going to things and trying to find people to push forward, it was a bit of, if not me, then who, if not now, then when. And then people started saying, Bryce, actually, you're the person that should be doing this. You understand city council and the interaction between policy and this, that, and the other. Go and do it. So that's, I didn't really decide till like the end of May, the year after. And then I decided to run. I announced in June. So it was way past, way past that picture. There was a whole lot of work in between the picture and when I decided to run.
What is a citizen journalist?
Well, I think a journalist, I think, is somebody who disseminates facts, so objectively.
Right. So do you write for articles for the paper every once in a while, or you just document and share?
No, video and speaking, was my medium. So what I did do a lot was show up and use video, and then I would come back and edit that video. So if I'm going somewhere for 2 hours, I can't expect everybody to, take that 2 hours in. So I would edit videos. I did do some writing, but really the biggest part was the dissemination of facts through showing up and showing people. Again, it's not just my voice or my view of things when I show up and hear it, but it's like, you need to hear this so you can come up with ideas. The 4 of us on this might see the same set of facts, but take something else out of it. So that was really my focus.
One of the things that you said that I really appreciate was that after you realized that, you didn't know how to hold people accountable, the right people accountable first and foremost, and having to go back and actually do your research. I think some of the times, like, our message get lost because the research had not been done on how to get people and hold people accountable for what's taking place. I think that one of the things that you said was when you went back and had to kind of I think it was pretty much, and in so many words I took from it was the word recalibrate. Whenever you went back to New York and had to kind of go back and do your research, I think that message is important for people to kind of hear, because it's like, yes, it's one thing to stand for something, but to really research it so that you can have you can be a force in that stance is important, to kind of know what you're talking about, go after the right people, and have those conversations a little bit more. I think the transition is a little bit more easier once that research and stuff like that has been done. I think sometimes that stuff is skipped, and it's hard for us to be unified like we need to in order for that message to kind of be relayed correctly. So I really appreciated that.
Thank you. And I think that's the difference, between politics and actual governance and leadership, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I got into elected office, because one, I didn't want to be limited, right? I wanted to be able to go to any part of the city and any issue, because when you think about equity and when you think, this isn't just police community relations, right? This is about economic development, but it's also about where sidewalks are, right? It's where, where neighborhoods are put in the environment that they're put in, right? So that's why I went to city council, and that's why I ran at large. But also because, as an elected, I'm not expected to be an expert in everything. And this is where I think the difference between elected offices, where the kind of disconnect is. I'm not an expert in community safety, perhaps. I'm not an expert in economic development. I'm not an amazing entrepreneur, but I'm not expected to be. Your elected officials aren't. What they're supposed to be able to do is ask questions of experts and manage that with the input of the constituents which your policies affect, and make the best educated decision on how to move forward. And if you have a bunch of people that are representative of the entire group of folks, right? All 11 of us don't approach things the same, even if we're of the same party, even if we live in the same district. The whole point is that we are uniquely qualified, for whatever reason you guys hire us and select us to do that work, to not just listen to the experts and be their rubber stamp, but ask honest questions and facilitate a public conversation. I think politicians, always choose from their platform, what pushes their own personal agenda forward. And that can be honestly very uncomfortable. Why? Because, if the 3 of you elected me because we have likewise values and goals, well, what if I'm presented with something that on the outside just empirically looks like something that we agree on, but as I'm talking to the experts and going through the nuances of it, it actually it's not what it seems to be. But I have to come back to you and explain why that isn't what it is, and explain my vote that seems to go counter what you and I believe. But sometimes it's just easier to say, for politicians to say, I'm just going to vote with what's easy. And that's where we have problems, man.
Right.
That's
exactly.
where we have problems. And it doesn't matter the skin color of the elected. It doesn't matter the economic worth of the elected. When your values and your political base is challenged, are you going to make the easy decision? Or are you going to make the right decision? That's, and that can be tough. That can be difficult,
That is a difficult decision, especially when there are a lot of different things that you're trying to achieve and get done. And you have to make those hard decisions about which one do I go with. Can you tell our audience actually what city council at large means and what's the difference between our regular Charlotte City Council?
Well, we're all, Charlotte City government, municipal government is a council manager form of government. So what that means is decisions happen by vote of city council, and we have a professional manager who is basically like the CEO of the organization. Government is actually a corporation, right? Not like a corporation. It is a corporation registered with the Secretary of State, right? And so, but it's a government entity. Basically, what city council does, it sits on as is the board of that corporation. The manager is the CEO, and the shareholders are the voters, right? And so the voters elect the city council. They hire the board, and the board hires the manager and gives the manager guidance of how we expect the corporation to be run. Each voter in Charlotte gets to elect 5 city council members and 1 mayor. 5 city council members, the whole entire city is divided into districts. There are 7 districts. And so each one of those districts gets its own council member, and who are elected by the people that live within the geography of that district. The city also has 4 at-large members, who are elected by the entire city. So there are 5 citywide elected offices, the 4 city council at-large members, and the mayor. That's the biggest difference. That's the biggest difference between district and at-large members of council. We all get 1 vote. We all have the same constituent services responsibilities, but there are things how the business goes where district reps might be more intensely involved in certain things, right? Some of those municipal services, the garbage doesn't get picked up on my block, right? There's a water main break. Rezonings, when rezonings happen, when land use changes happen, they usually meet, and the point person is that district rep, right? They're very intimately involved with what's happening in a specific geography of things. But we all have the same vote. Actually, everybody has 11 council members, who are serving them and have responsibility over them. So, or with them, however you want to look at it. Did I?
Yes, that was actually a great explanation. So the city council would be the party that decided to gentrify half of Charlotte, right?
Well, yes and no. So yes and no. What we control is land use, right? So what can be built where? City council, your government actually doesn't build anything besides government buildings. We don't build housing. We're not your landlord. You don't want government to be your landlord. So we don't actually, build anything. But we do, and historically we've set when you think of things like redlining, when you look at urban renewal, the removal of entire neighborhoods off the map, that is a responsibility of city council. When you're building work, now we have, we're looking at a new transit plan, right? And some people might say, well, why are you going to spend $8 billion, $12 billion, on transit? It's not something we need, this, that, and other. Well, actually, yeah, we really do. Because how it was segregated 50, 60 years ago? By building roads through neighborhoods, by investing in sidewalks in certain places and not others, by building that infrastructure to divide already self-sustaining neighborhoods where there were things like Black wealth and Black upper middle and classes that were self-sufficient. So as we look at how do you undo those things? Well, it is those basic city things that that honestly, when I didn't know about, when I was trying to hold my government accountable. How do you get businesses to show up in certain areas? Well, if there are roads with sidewalks, and easy accessibility to highways, businesses are going to go there. They're not going to go in places that are shut off for everything. So yes and no. We set the map, but the market comes in and builds.
Justice, Johnny, questions, thoughts? I guess that's a no. Okay.
I'm not sure. I thought Justice is trying to take himself off mute. I'm not sure.
I was trying to think.
If there are no questions, let's go to our next topic. So I looked at your bio that's online. It states, the platforms that you ran on in your first term. Did those things change or progress, or do you feel like you're still in that capitalist moment?
What's that? In what moment?
Capitalist.
What you mean?
That's what's actually on your thing, that you ran as a capitalist. It's really funny.
What?
Oh, you can't hear me.
No, I can hear you. I really don't know what you're referring to. No, but I mean, my platform is the same, because what we're doing is working for generational change. Overall, I'm working for a more equitable, accessible, and interconnected Charlotte. And equity, we have not achieved those things, all of those things, and how you go about it, term to term, can change in terms, because you have to break this. There's no one button that you're gonna press to change everything. When we're talking about equity, we are talking about the way neighborhoods are built, and to change those things. There's so many different levels and layers of that. When you talk about access, it is physical things like physical access, as we talked about building transportation and connecting neighborhoods, as opposed from cutting them off from one another and from resources. But it's also digital, right? You have the digital divide right now. Has not been more prevalent than it has over this past year. Up to 40% of homes in some parts of Charlotte don't have access to high-speed internet. And so, in today's day, like you're
that was a really big problem during COVID for a lot of the kids, to be able to do schoolwork without that internet access. And I know that some companies, as well as some of the school system, was able to give out those hotspots to help kids.
Yeah, that's something that I pushed. That came from city money. That, again, that's the third part, the interconnectedness. Historically, we are siloed. The city would not have given the school system a couple $1 million from our COVID relief, had it not been for a lot of advocacy, on a part of myself and others over the past couple of years. Like, to understand that these change. This is not just the city. This is the county. This is the school system. This is all those things working in collaboration with the state and the federal government. When you think about urban renewal and the removal of Brooklyn neighborhood, that was done, directly city council in collaboration with the federal government. All of those things, those three kind of pillars are there. And I think that's what my politic is, right? Like that's where I'm going to approach every decision that I try to make. Are we building more equity within the system? More systemic fairness is another way I look at equity. Is this decision making resources in Charlotte more accessible to more people, or is it cutting more people off? Is this work are we looking at it from a perspective of collaboration? Are we leading? You know, are we saying, are we reaching out to our partners to say, if we can do this, then you need to be doing this too, if you want to partner with us? So that's the politic that, you know, that I bring to all of the decision making. That hasn't changed. I don't see that change. I think that's who I am, and that's, you know, why I decided to stay out there on September 20th, 2016. And that's why, you know, I keep doing what I'm doing right now.
One of the things that it would be robust for me not to bring this up, because we are a HIV/AIDS organization, and helping people with living with an HIV and people living without HIV. So I guess one of the things that I know that you stand for is equity and things like that. And one of the things I wanted to know is, what is your stance on public health as it relates to HIV and AIDS and resources for that community?
Well, say that again.
And sex education in our public school system.
Yeah, well, again, I think this is a place where we really need to interconnect, right? Public health is a county function, you know, but public health is, you know, that's what, when I talk about community safety, when I talk about, you know, access, you know, that's how we need to change the frame, right? Like, our communities are less safe if people that need healthcare don't have healthcare, because if you need it, and you can't get it, it literally becomes a life or death situation, and people will do different things to get the things that they need, you know? So from a city perspective, I can't say that this is just a county public health thing. I want to find, as we're building neighborhoods, you know, I want us to think outside the box to again, challenge those other partners. Like, what do we do well? We do actually collaborate with developers, community leaders, and different branches of government to set maps. Like we said, well, we did it really well to segregate this place. Now, what if we then change our aim to set the map so people could live, work, play, go to school, and get healthcare in a radius of places that they can walk to, you know? Like, what if you could do that in every zip code? You would have a safer community, and you wouldn't need more police, right? You know, if you would drive down healthcare costs, right? If the public health system and the public transportation system were more in line with where residential neighborhoods are and centers are, and so that's what I think about from a city council member policy perspective. There are certain things that, like, I think we actually do get funding for affordable housing vouchers for people with HIV. But that's not something that is, you know, we need more of it, you know, we need more of it, right? Like, how do we like build on the things that we're doing well? But also, how do we use that with outside the box thinking to bring more resources forward? And I do think there's a role for the city to play in that, even though we exist outside of the public health system or the school system. We have no jurisdiction over what happens in CMS schools. Zero. But can we provide community-based learning, community-based resources? I think so.
I definitely agree with it. So I'm gonna bring it around full circle because the transportation issue is one of the things that, you know, all of us have experienced and have came in contact with in regards to our clients getting back and forth to a clinic, you know, going home and things like that. And it isn't from lack of organizations or lack of clinics that are out there. It's the fact that those clinics are not exactly in those spaces, in those areas where people can easily access.
Well, I'll start with the responsibility. You know, part of, if you need public transportation, we've made some improvements. You know, but traditionally, if you have to make a transfer on a bus, your average commute time is 90 minutes each way. And that's not okay. We brought that down maybe about 10%. But, again, as we're thinking about the investments that need to happen, as we need to, from my perspective, from my policy perspective, I'm trying to put more pressure and more guidance and explain to the constituency why it's going to make sense to invest billions of dollars in our public transportation system, because it's going to save lives. It's going to save lives. Think about that parent that has to commute, to work and get their kids dropped off. What about that time that they have to go to their appointment, their checkup? Are they going to decide to go to work? Or are they going to try, are they going to go to, their appointment? Sometimes that could be the difference between getting medicine and losing a job, you know?
Right.
So it starts there, from my perspective. How do I make, again, when we think about these equity things, the leading on opportunity 50 out of 50, those are the things that don't necessarily always come to the front of the mind, that I should be able to go to my doctor's appointment easily, regardless of the zip code that I exist in. And that's just not a possibility everywhere for everybody. I think there was a second part of that.
I know, I'm sorry. Let me let Johnny ask the second part.
No, I think that you kind of jumped on that and answered all of that in its entirety. So I don't think.
Hey, Justice, I know in the office we were talking and you had a question that you wanted to bring up.
I'm not familiar with because you said that city council is divided up into districts, correct? Can y'all hear me? Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
No, it is 7 districts.
Okay. So what district do you, manage? Do you have a specific?
No, so it's 7 districts and 4 at-large members. Okay. So I'm elected citywide. Okay. But again, we don't actually manage anything, right? We don't manage anything. The city manager, it's broken up. It's broken up to kind of, so you have your electeds and then you have your staff. It is our job to give guidance to staff as a council. To turn something into policy or to give the manager specific direction, you need 6 votes. Once that kind of policy is set and the spending is there and everything like that, there is some leeway. I can work if there's projects that are under a certain amount, if they fit certain criteria, you can push certain things. But the big things happen by us as a body. And so the manager. So from the structure level, you have city council that sits over, you have 1 manager. The manager has a staff of like 5 assistant city managers, and each of those assistant city managers kind of in a vertical, they manage the different departments. So CMPD, fire department, solid waste, the water department, economic development, budget department, all of that gets managed by assistant city managers. But each of those departments also has department heads. Those department heads are hired by the city manager. We hire 3 positions. We hire the city manager, the city attorney, and the city clerk. The city council does. The manager hires everybody else within the hierarchy. The city of Charlotte is made up of about 8,000 employees, that are directly managed by the city manager day to day.
Okay.
So it is our job, again, to that point of not being experts. It's our point. I think successful councils, regardless of Charlotte or anywhere else, or whether it's in a city or whether it's in a church or whether it's in, a nonprofit, if that board is able to give clear and decisive and efficient guidance to the CEO to run the organization and hold that government accountable, then you have a good city council, right? We don't manage it. But we need to give clear guidance and set the expectations of what we need to achieve to be successful as a government. And then if the manager isn't able to achieve those goals, then you fire the manager and find somebody else who can achieve those goals for you. You know?
Okay.
Those are the tools that the main tool that we have. And of course, the main policy that we work on is we set the budget. The manager presents us a budget every year. It's about a $2.5 billion budget year to year, and we approve the budget. And if we see things that need to be changed, we change those things. And all of the work, most of the work that happens after that budget is adopted, is appropriating the money that is budgeted. You know, so we say, hey, we're going to need $10 million to repave the streets in Charlotte this year. We budget that during our budget process, and then as that spend comes, because we might not spend it when we approve the budget, it might have to be done in February the year after. Then it's up to us to say, hey, does this fit what we were expecting? Does this make sense? Is this the right thing to do? And then you vote on appropriating that money as a function of the budget.
Okay, my last question is, since you've been in office, what has been your biggest win as far as something that you wanted to get done in the community in general? That meant a lot, that you were able to say, okay, I did this and it was what I wanted to do, or it was a win.
I don't really think of things like that. You know, I mean, again, this is not about my personal kind of war chest. You know, there's so many things that I'm involved in different ways. Things are changing and the way things are being thought about. You know, I was very proud, you know, I'm very proud of a lot of things. You know, I mean, we could talk about some of the things that I've done, you know, that I'm proud of. You know, that we first came in, my first meeting that I came in here, you know, one of the things I wanted to do fast was, you know, there was some politics that were done before I was elected that removed the public forum from being broadcast. And so the people of Charlotte were not able to see their own citizens kind of addressing their city council. And so I got that back in, but I also passed a policy that basically said all city council meetings must be live streamed, right? They must utilize social media. And my first month in, 6-8 weeks in, we passed a policy that really, I think, has expanded. Again, going back from those activist days of using social media to disseminate facts, you know, that it was when I used to show up and I used to live stream, 400 or 500 people used to tune in. Those are 400 or 500 people, more people that were involved in their government. So now every council meeting, every committee meeting, it's basically commanded that throughout the organization, we include social media streams wherever. So I think government has been more accessible than ever in Charlotte over the past few years. But, you know, we defunded the police. You know, we did that. We did that while it was a very small amount last year. It was significant in terms of, you know, people might not like to say it, but we did it. You know, we are changing right now. We are starting a response model that responds to many different types of cases with a non-law enforcement response, you know, with mental health professionals, with trauma-informed care experts. You know, that's happening right now. I mean, but there's so many other things. You know, I was just having this conversation with one of my colleagues, you know, about the legislative agenda. It might not be something that you know very well, but basically it's this policy document that every year that the city council adopts. And one of the roles in government is to advocate, you know, to different branches of government on behalf of the citizens of Charlotte. So we take this legislative agenda, we take it up to Raleigh, and we try to get people to get behind it, or we take it up to Washington and meet with our Congress members and senators and get them behind it to say, hey, these are the legislative priorities. Before, we would only do like a couple things that we knew could happen real fast. I'm like, no, hold up. we need to let these folks know, down the line, what our ambitions are, what we need to happen, so we wouldn't put things down like comprehensive immigration reform. Right. I had to argue to my folks, we don't do immigration locally, but it dang sure affects our ability to provide economic development. It sure impacts the ability to ensure safe communities. So what I was able to do is expand the use of that legislative agenda to include those things so that we could go into, those places and let folks on. You know what? It was surprising, but when we're sitting in Senator Burr and Senator Tillis's office, they really were very, very receptive to having a conversation about this. Where when I got there, people were politically afraid to even bring the things up, because they didn't want to get kicked out the office or something like that. But to show people that, hey, there's a way that we can actually talk about this and we can actually do this in an effective way, I think that's important. So we have more. We are advocating more officially on behalf of you guys. I along with other couple of council members when I first got in here were really looking at the contracts that we were giving out, and that we weren't hitting certain percentages. And I started doing things like holding up contracts. Things that weren't done before. We have this consent agenda where you basically, it's a lot of things where you're buying paint to paint the roads or buying safety equipment for, I don't know, sanitation workers or solid waste workers, but also ammunition, for police and helicopters and stuff. So I started pulling that stuff and saying, nah, like I want a different vote. And that has led to some interdepartmental changes the way things are getting done, right? That if we're not hitting certain percentages, now we actually do have an apprentice program, for instance, in our Charlotte Water department, because we pulled enough of them. I pulled enough of them, and they were like, well, in about 5 years, we're going to be doing a lot of spending, and we're not going to be able to hit those numbers that council members want us to hit. So we're going to have to do something different, or we're going to have a lot of long Mondays, And so, like I said, there's so many things like that, that there are wins, but it's more about this kind of bigger paradigm shift that is important to me, But there's tons of wins. We could keep going if we wanted to,
I appreciate that. I think that is one of the things that I challenge anybody around me is to look at the bigger picture. And it seems like that is the overall goal. And, is, okay, yes, I understand that this happening, but what's next? Like, the bigger picture is always the priority and not the small things.
One big thing I want y'all to go check out, My Brother's Keeper, Charlotte Mecklenburg. That's something that has been a labor of love over the past 2.5 years.
Okay.
Brought that back to life.
Got
some money budgeted.
What do they do there?
Thank you.
So we are laser focused on improving the condition for young boys of color, Black and brown boys. It implores the collective impact model to be a backbone organization, not to create new programs, for Black or brown boys, but to help right-size them, right? To help bring these organizations, because one of the things Opportunity Task Force report says, like, we have a lot of organizations that are doing a lot of good stuff, but there's nobody kind of bringing those folks together to laser focus them, right? So you have situations where, like, for instance, a Read Charlotte that focuses on getting kids up to grade level reading in the public schools, right? They might have success overall, but they marginally can hit their numbers without improving the conditions of young men of color, right? So we're saying we don't want to start another Read Charlotte, but we want to work with you guys to bring culturally relevant, not just culturally relevant, but specific to the individual's needs of these consortiums of young men that we're working with. We're bringing solutions that speak to them, and understanding that while this is laser focused on young men, right, young boys of Black and brown boys, that in order to improve those conditions, right, you got to work with the whole environment, right? Like you got to look at what's going on with the parents, what's going on with the brothers and sisters, with the school, and so, you know, this was something that Charlotte initially signed on to when Barack Obama started this effort a couple years ago. But it, like true Charlotte fashion, we were there for the beginning, you know, and then we put it up on the shelf. And when I got in, I was like, you know, what's going on with this? And I'm like, we're not really doing anything with this. And so myself and James Mitchell really kind of rolled up our sleeves to get this thing going. So it's been a 3-year process. I would encourage everybody to go ahead and Google it and go to the website and sign up and stay informed. I don't know if you guys know our executive director, Don Thomas. He's an incredible brother, and he's doing impactful work. So that's something that we'll continue to refine and work on, but is again focused on that bigger picture, as Johnny put it.
You know, and I've actually heard about My Brother's Keeper. I've actually seen and I was actually at an event and they was tabling there alongside with me. So I've seen and heard and was very interested and love what they were doing. So yeah, I've heard of them and actually got some cards in my drawer to kind of reach out to them and have a conversation with them about some things as well. So yeah.
Well, let me know if you want to get connected. That's what we do. Go ahead and send me an email, braxton.winston@charlottenc.gov, and we'll get you connected if you
most definitely. I surely will.
So, Councilman Braxton, the last thing I want to ask you is, for those of us that are here and in the audience who may be interested in getting into the local conversation about what can we do for Title I schools when they need help and they don't have books, they don't have computer labs. You know, what can we do for these neighborhoods that are not getting the same level of attention that some of the South Charlotte may get? I drove through a neighborhood in South Charlotte today that had, you know, like neighborhood watch sign, but underneath it had off-duty police officers are in this neighborhood. I've never seen that on the east side, ever. And so it's like things like that, the nice parks and all the stuff downtown are things that most people where I live would never and cannot ever access. So how do you tell people to go about getting able to do something and actually bring about some change?
The number one thing is to organize. That's the most important thing you can do, and you need to be laser focused on that thing. The frustrating part about it, you know, about everything, you know, is that there's so much that needs to be organized around, right? Especially like you said, in certain neighborhoods. But you know, you really do have to be laser focused and know that you can't take on everything, and you definitely can't do everything by yourself. You have to learn how to, when you learn to organize, you learn to do things like delegate. You also learn how to use tools. I always tell people, you know, government is a tool. Government is a tool for everybody, right? For everybody to use. But like any tool, you know, it takes certain intelligence, right? Sometimes it's muscle memory. Sometimes it's book intelligence to learn how to use it. And I will tell you that there's not a lot of people that know how to wield the tool of government. A lot of people within it don't know how to use it. And a lot of times when we think that just because you have a lot of money, you know, doesn't mean that you know how to use it. What that often means, though, is that you know you have the ability to hire people that know how to use it to work on your behalf. And either way, or you also can hire people to organize situations for you, right? And break that thing down, which often makes it easier. But if you know how to use those tools and you are well organized, there's a lot that you can actually do very fast. But when there are so many issues, it can be daunting. It can be, the other thing about it, what we also have to realize is that I think we need to be focused on systemic change, right? Because you can change one thing and that's not going to, like I said, that's not changing culture, right? It's not changing culture. You can fix up a block and, you know, you can improve the situation, but what if the people that were there before aren't able to stay there? Have you actually, really fixed it? And sometimes the things that we ask for create some types of change. So how do we actually deal with that, right? One of the things I always tell people always complain about affordable housing. Nobody wants affordable housing in their backyard. Everybody wants affordable housing, but nobody wants it next to them. I don't care who you are, what color you are, or where you live, right? But I tell homeowners, right, like, don't put that affordable housing here. It's something that's happening up in Hidden Valley right now. It's a great example of a place. Don't put that affordable housing here. Yeah, because it's going to destroy our home values. No, actually, when they put an affordable property in there, that's $30 million, $25 million of investment. So you know what that is actually going to do? It's going to actually make it more unaffordable for everybody else. So we have to have a community plan, once we get the changes that we want, of how do we look at these things systemically, and to kind of, like you said, round the circle, as we were saying before. In order to do that, we have to get really smart about the things that we want and how change needs to happen, and about these tools. Like, honestly, you don't need to be yelling at the chief of police to change something. You don't. So waste of time. Because even if you don't want to change it, again, we exist in a council manager form of government. If the city manager doesn't tell him to change, that chief of police ain't going to change, regardless of what he wants to do, But the city manager ain't going to tell the chief of police to change if you don't got city council making a change, saying you want things to change. And if you don't tell the city council in a specific way, you might get one person up there like me that's going to be willing to do that. But if you don't have those other people going back to their 7 districts and going back to those folks that actually elected them, because only up to about 25% of people that are eligible to vote in municipal elections, right? Like, so if you hear one thing real loud, but it's not coming from the people that are actually electing the folks, then that message is not going to get to the manager. It's not going to get to the chief of police. So I say, don't. Yeah, I'm all for protests and everything like that, but also shut down the city council meetings. Stop that money from getting spent. Stop that consent agenda from going through. And then changes will happen. So we just got to get smart about those things, really kind of dive in. Also, we have to be focused on issues, not on people, not on individuals. We often get in these ad hominem situations, where we prop people up or we tear people down, and we don't focus on the ideas, we really need to be focused on the ideas, because, that's part of white supremacy at work, right? You put a face in front and you get emotional reactions, and you get people to do things off of those emotional actions, and they'll forget about the actual issues underneath. So I think that's a big thing at all. All in all, study, organize, use your tools, and delegate. And that's again the difference between politics and governance. If you only deal with the people who you completely agree with politically wise, you will not be able to delegate the work. So you have to find places where you have common ground. That doesn't mean you have to like the person. That doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they do, but you can work with them on a certain thing. And if you can delegate that and you can do something else while that thing is getting done, we need to do more of that and just keep building and building and building.
I want to thank you for coming on and talking to us, and breaking some of that stuff down. I do think that sometimes there is a gap, and not necessarily that it have to be, but people just don't know what they don't know. And so sometimes, being able to kind of break it down into layman's terms, and and understanding, like not taking on so much at one time, focus on what you're focusing on, and bring on other people to kind of rally up, to kind of make that change kind of possible. So I think that stuck out to me the most, and stuck out to the audience the most, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I don't have the admin view right now to see the comments right now, but usually I do, but I don't have that right now to kind of view that and see that. But it was an awesome conversation. I want to thank you for taking the time out to come and have a conversation with us. I really appreciate that. And if you don't have anything else to say tonight, we appreciate you.
I just say one last thing. One last thing is that we all need to understand that we are uniquely qualified as something. There's something that we do well. It might not be the thing that we want to do well, you know. It might not be the thing we do for work or the thing that makes us happiest. But democracy depends on all of us doing doing that thing that we do well. Like, we need you to do that. So it might not be running for office. It might be singing a song. It might be raising the kids. It might be being a doctor. It might be writing. It might be organizing. It might be coding. But whatever it is, you know, if you do that, like, that's how you contribute to the struggle. You know, that's how you contribute to the progress. And anybody, I think, you know, that's in a position like mine, I think if they're being honest, they will say, you know, we're figuring this out too. Like, we are figuring this out.
Appreciate that.
And that's what work is about. And if you ain't about figuring out, it's time to retire. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes maybe that's something that you do. I can't wait to do retirement well, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And in so many words, and I also want to bring this up as well. Our young people have to get involved in these committees that are out here now, and get involved in what's going on in your community. Get involved in these committees and things like that, because there's not enough Black and brown youth that is being represented in these communities. So, you know, your voice is not being heard, and things like that. And we desperately need to address some of the needs of the youth, and we don't have the capacity to do that because their voices are not being heard. So, you know, one of the takeaways from tonight, you know, after hearing Council Braxton, is it's time for you guys to step up. That's the challenge. Step up. You know, and be a part of the conversation. Go back and do your research, learn, and join some type of committee so that your voices can be heard.
And it doesn't have to be something big. You see someone here that sits on a committee that looks like you, that doesn't sound like people that you see on TV. So you don't have to be some fancy rich person to give back to your community, whether it be your neighborhood, your school, your alumni, anyone. You don't have to be a specific person to care and to be a human being to another human being.
And again, we are a tool. Like I said, you have 11 council members and if you can't get in touch with me, you have 10 other people you can get in touch with. And it doesn't matter if they look like you. It doesn't matter if they have the same politics as you, right? Like, you're not asking them to pass policy all the time, right? We are a tool to help you achieve what you need. I might not agree with everything that you want to do. I might not know, but it's my job to at least put you in the right direction on the path to get those services. And that is the role of government. Again, that is the role of government, is to help you facilitate seeing the place that you want and deserve. And it's a tool. That's what I'm here for. If I can't do it, it's my duty to at least put you in the right direction.
All right.
I do want to thank you again, Councilman, for a great conversation. It was very enlightening to hear you talk about some things, and because I never knew what at-large meant personally, and I've always been curious as to what it actually is. So for me, it was informative, not only with that information, but you know how you made that decision to get started and go ahead and jump in. I think that's really important for people to understand that if you're passionate about it, jump in. It doesn't matter what it is. Just dive in. It's fine. And so I really appreciate you coming on for that.
No, thanks for having me. And thank y'all for the work that y'all do. You know, RAIN was one of actually the first organizations that hit me up when I was first elected. And I appreciate the work that y'all do. Like I said, I'm always trying to find ways to to stretch the city's mind, to think outside of our comfort box, and to understand and to build neighborhoods. You know, like I said, we have to serve all of our constituents, regardless of what city, county, department they fit into. So,
and I wanted to piggyback off Treese. Thank you for the breakdown, because I'm sure there are people out there like me that, you know, want to do stuff, but it's like, I don't know where to go. I don't know who to talk to. So for that breakdown, I think that's gonna, you know, for me, it's definitely gonna open my eyes to like, okay, if I see something that needs, you know, change, or I see an issue, now I know who to contact. So I thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Well, y'all have a wonderful weekend. Happy Valentine's Day to all y'all Valentines out there. And enjoy the rest of your conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all know we're gonna wrap it up ourselves while council member on the mic. We're not embarrassed. We're gonna do what we do normally. So y'all get ready. Y'all get ready.
Come on, Chief. Come on,
Being tested.
Getting tested.
Exactly. You guys have a great night. We'll see you next week. Oh, so many things.
Are we still live?
Thank you for being able to keep your obsession with Braxton inside.
We still live, Treese.
Oh shit.